Hey guys, everything cool with you? Here we are with the third episode of the saga, The Origin of Zeno. I know you're anxious to know what will happen, but don't be in a hurry. I guarantee that today's video will be epic. But first, we have to say a few things so we can finally continue with the video. If you like these videos and really like to follow along, I ask that you leave a like on the video, as much as it is annoying to ask. However, it helps a lot in the performance of the channel and motivates us to always keep bringing you amazing videos. That said, after the recap of the last episode of the saga, you will see the new episode. In the last episode of the saga, we see the long-awaited birth of Zeno after Zalama and Ozem have their wishes fulfilled by the Nexus. Both have become figures of respect for all races existing in the Void. However, the fact that Ozem became the leader of the Void races made Zalama jealous, because according to Zalama, he should have received more merit than he had, and this led him to challenge Ozem to a fight to the death. Who will win this duel? You'll find out about that in today's episode, but before that, turn off the lights in your room and grab your snack because today's episode is going to start. Zalama let out a roar so powerful that it devastated the area around him, and with the strength of that roar, he managed to knock Ozem down. After doing so, Zalama said, "You're no match for me in my dragon form. This is the power I wished for you. Now you will suffer a lot. A lot! And after this I will kill your son and your wife." Zalama falls into an evil laugh and again turns to his old friend Ozem and questions, "As the leader of the Ramujins and Bakujins, the king of the two warrior races can be so weak? Is it with this power that you will protect your family and your people? If that's the case, it's better for everyone if I lead them alone," said Zalama, bragging, and then attacking Ozem with the last of fire that came out of his mouth. But Ozem managed to defend himself, absorbing the blow with his sword. Ozem, with a look of disappointment, faced Zalama. Ozem kept himself calm, even though he was clearly disappointed with what Zalama had become, and with the cruel way in which Zalama was using the power he desired. Ozem felt guilty because he realized that Zalama did not have as much recognition as he deserved, although he does not justify his envious, disgusting acts. Zalama felt uncomfortable with the stillness and silence of his former friend and tried to provoke him. "What is it, Ozem? Ate your tongue?" Zalama was trying to provoke him. But even with his size, Zalama was not showing himself capable of instilling fear in Ozem. Ozem is filled with anger and indignation and replies, "I'm the one asking you, you disgusting traitor," said Ozem angrily, leaving Zalama impressed with the words spoken by his former friend. Ozem goes on to say, "You threaten my people and my family. What you're doing is unforgivable, and I want you to know something. If it's to protect my people, my wife, and my beloved son, I don't mind having to take the life of someone who was once my friend, even if it makes me suffer," said Ozem, screaming and getting a reddish aura. Ozem increases his Kaioken by 10x and goes up to Zalama, who blocks his attack with his tail and then tries to bite him with all his strength, but Ozem interrupts him with the Kaioken, blinding his opponent. Zalama is amazed at what is happening right in front of him and asks, "How come you have so many techniques and powers if you never wanted them?" asked Zalama to Ozem, who responded with hatred, "I have my means, and surely you must not know them," exclaimed Ozem, shooting a huge sphere of ki in the direction of Zalama's face, which is hit in full, which left him in a state critical. The dragon is filled with rage and strikes Ozem, making him fly away and roars, "Now you will pay, you filthy worm!" The dragon shoots a ray of energy that practically burns his enemy that luckily almost managed to dodge, causing the attack to graze. But Zalama does not stop and advances towards Ozem, firing several blasts of ki, and when he was going to hit him with his head, Ozem dodges, teleporting himself close to the neck of that draconic being who says, "I will not fall into the same game twice." One of Zalama's ki blasts hit Ozem in the face, causing Ozem to hit his opponent even harder thanks to his Kaioken and his powerful sword. Zalama is interested in the technique and says, "What an interesting power. It gives you resistance and great destructive power. You weren't going to teach me something like that, were you? So allow me to take that away from you too." Zalama uses a technique capable of weakening the target and applies it to Ozem, making him slightly weaker, and realizes that he is starting to get a little tired. Zalama fires blasts of ki from his eyes, which hit Ozem, leaving him mortally wounded and lying on the ground. Seeing the state of his old friend, Zalama begins to laugh tirelessly. Zalama tries to shoot a huge power of ki from his mouth, but Ozem teleports before he can even be hit and hides around the place where they were. Zalama can still sense Ozem's presence and so starts looking for him while Ozem is healing from his wounds. Zalama then shouts, "You can't hide for long. I will find and kill you," threatens Zalama, shooting relentless bursts of ki in all corners, leaving Ozem worried. Ozem then, after recovering a little, teleports himself to Zalama's back and attacks the dragon's neck with his sword, opening a huge wound in Zalama, who almost loses his balance and falls to the ground. Zalama then flies as much as he can and manages to knock Ozem down with his tail, making him fall off the back of his head. Ozem flies before falling and attacks again with his sword full of energy. Ozem hits Zalama's throat, who is injured and quite angry. Zalama then screams with all the hatred he had in his heart. "Die, you filthy insect!" screamed Zalama, firing the most powerful blast he could use. Ozem knew that if he was hit, he would be on the verge of death. Suddenly something appeared and blocked the attack. It was the Nexus sphere that had saved Ozem's life. Nexus then creates a force field around Zalama that would momentarily hold him while talking to Ozem, who besides being injured was very surprised to see Nexus again. Ozem looked at Nexus and asked, "You here? I didn't expect it, but I'm glad to see you. How can we beat Zalama?" questioned Ozem to Nexus while Zalama tried to free himself from the barrier created by Nexus. Nexus then, in a sad and melancholic way, replies, "Yes, we can win, but there is a big risk," said Nexus, leaving Ozem worried. Ozem then says, "Say," ordered serious Ozem. Nexus says, "We can use our lives to separate Zalama's soul into 7 spheres. Zalama can only physically appear when the 7 spheres are reunited, and besides being impossible, Zalama will no longer be able to use his powers. The only thing Zalama can do is grant any wish to the one who invoked it. It's the only way we can win, but it's your call," explained Nexus, leaving Ozem very thoughtful about what he was going to do. But after looking at Zalama, Ozem sees that he would have no better option than what Nexus offered, and then says, "I accept, only on one condition. I want you to give all the power in the world to my son, as the wisdom possible, so that he can give our people a better future," Ozem asked from Nexus. Nexus is silent for a moment and says, "Are you sure you want that? Before you ask, yes, I can do it. But know that your child will not grow up in your presence. Are you really okay with that?" questioned Nexus, observing the serious expression of Ozem, who looked at Zalama breaking the barrier little by little. Ozem then exclaims, "Do it!" Ozem shouted when finally Zalama broke the barrier. The Nexus then began to glow, carrying the energy it possessed, and exploded immense charges of energy. Zeno, in another corner next to his mother, began to glow mysteriously, which left his mother worried. Returning to the Nexus that was still releasing energy, a strong white light began to resound. After moments of resonating, this Nexus light exploded and generated an intense light, consuming everything around it. Suddenly, neither Ozem nor Nexus were there anymore. Zalama then started to glow too, apparently screaming in pain. Zalama then turned into 7 spheres that contained stars numbered in each sphere. The spheres were then scattered throughout existence, and thus Zalama had been defeated. At Ozem's house, the wife was watching the sky and wondering at the comets that were separating across the sky, when suddenly Ozem appeared in front of her in spectral form. That was the spirit of Ozem, who only said one thing: "Take good care of him. Our son will give birth to thousands of lives," said the ghost of Ozem, who after saying that finally rested in peace, while his wife watched him with tears in her eyes. What will happen? Will Zalama somehow manage to return, and Zeno will have to defeat him? Will Zeno actually be able to avoid being corrupted by power and not have the same fate as Zalama? Questions like these will only be answered in the next episode, because today's episode ends here. Hey guys, I know it's sad when today's video unfortunately ends, but don't worry because the next episodes are coming. If you like it, don't forget to leave your like, because it helps us a lot and motivates us to continue with these videos that you like so much. Comment your theories on what might happen in the next episode and share the video with your friends so they can watch it together. And that's it. See you guys next time.